Hello and welcome to the January NAHS meeting.
So our quote for this meeting is, "It doesn't make much difference how the paint is put on as long as something has been said. Technique is just a means of arriving at a statement." And that's by Jackson Pollock.
Okay, hi, I'm Ashna. Just in this session, we're just going to be talking about VASE 2021. So it's pretty much an art competition that students all over Texas participate in. And there's an art flow chart, as you can see, and that's pretty much just pictures that are usually hung up or placed around the school in the hallways. But because it's virtual, it's going to be on a slideshow. And for this activity today, we're going to be talking about Jackson Pollock, which is a very famous artist. And don't forget to join the Remind, and the next meeting is on February 11th.
All right, so we're gonna do a brief overview over VASE. It's February 20th, which is on a Saturday. Payments are due tomorrow. It's gonna be on My Payments Plus, and it should be $17. And you can submit up to 2 pieces, and any information on due dates, check-ins, scan the QR code. If you have any questions, you can ask Ms. Watkins. But remember that if you want to participate, the payment is due tomorrow.
So if any of you are confused about kind of what art classes to take next, you can scan this QR code and it'll kind of outline the path for you.
Right. So we usually will have a vertical art show in the district administration building, but because of quarantine and COVID and stuff, they decided to do it digitally. So if you want to see artwork from Memorial Lone Star and all the feeder schools, you can scan this QR or use this link and you'll be able to see the presentation. Okay, so I'll give you a few seconds if anyone wants to scan it and then I'll move on. Okay. And now we're going to be talking about Jackson Pollock, who lived from January 28th to 1912, January 28th, 1912 to August 11th, 1956.
So who was Pollock? Well, he was born in 1912 and he moved to New York at age 18 with his passion for art. He soon married a painter, Lee Krasner. And one thing about Pollock was that he admired many artists and specifically Picasso, but he was also really invested in Native American art, specifically how they would kind of pour sand to create the art. And that was kind of his inspiration for developing his drip technique. And then as you can see later on, his pieces developed and he started adding more layers and making them more abstract.
And then now we're going to be talking about that development that Sammy was talking about. So in 1935, during the Great Depression, the WPA, Federal Art Project, would give him employment as an easel painter. These works were more expressionistic, and these were inspired by Albert Ryder and his mentor, Thomas Hart Benton, whom he and Pollock and his brother had studied in for about a year and a half. And you can really see that kind of style in Going West, where everything is recognizable, but it is fairly expressionistic. In 1937, he would start going to see a psychiatrist because he had problems with alcoholism. And in 1938, those problems would ultimately culminate in a nervous breakdown, which would lead to a brief stint in a psychiatric ward. This would see a stylistic shift. So they would be much more surrealistic with a psychological exploration. And you would use Jungian symbolism, which has to do with finding the balance between what's real and what's fake in like your mind. And you would have this semi-abstraction influenced by the likes of Picasso and Miro. And you can see the bird is a good example of that. His painting Mural marks the convergence of the Benton composition, which Benton was the mentor from before, who was regionalist, meaning that he was a lot of painting buildings in the Midwest, and it was fairly abstract, but and these would come together with that surrealistic freeness that you would see back with starting in 1938. In 1948, you would see him start to make those iconic drip paintings where he would fling paint in certain ways with splatters that, quote, veiled the image. And you can see a few of his pieces, and you can see that development over time. Okay, so if you have any questions, please ask any officers or Ms. Watkins or send them on this QR code. And then also make sure to join the Remind and keep up on the app. And that's it for this meeting. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Remind. And then also really important, make sure to sign in, especially if you're a senior, because if you sign in, then you'll be eligible for accords for graduation. Okay, so does anyone have any questions or things to add?
How am I supposed to sign in if it's just a picture on the screen and I'm using my phone?
We can send, can one of the officers get a link and send it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll try to send a link.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if no one has any other questions, then Daisy is going to send the link in the chat for you to sign in. Otherwise, once you sign in, you can leave. And remember, the next meeting is going to be on the 11th of February.
All right, here is the link for anyone that needs it.